Good afternoon and welcome to the Grand Prairie City Council meeting for Monday, January 13th, 2020. I'd ask everyone in attendance to rise and join us in singing O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you to the National Film Board for the images of our country and to alumni of our very own Grand Prairie Boys Choir for the audio. I would ask for a motion to adopt the previous council meeting minutes from way back in 2019. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Happy New Year to all. I move the council adopt the minutes from the City Council meeting held Monday, December 2nd, 2019, as presented.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. I think if I've got them correct, I think it's December 16th. Have we got the right ones?
Ah, okay, we'll make that 16th.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you.
Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Are there any errors or omissions that we need to correct before we adopt them? Seeing nobody ringing in, then I will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries, and I'd look for a motion for the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Minhas.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move the council adopt it as presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Minhas. Any discussion or debate on the agenda? Again, seeing no one ringing in, I will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries as well. And this brings us to our open delegation portion of our agenda at our city council meetings, which are in two parts now. We have an open delegation where anybody could come forward and address council on any community-related matter at this first session. We also have an opportunity for scheduled delegations in our evening session. I believe we did have one scheduled delegation that has subsequently had to cancel. We do have a public hearing this afternoon, so we will be back this evening. But I don't see anybody coming forward for an open delegation period. I would just remind the community that this opportunity exists at every regular city council meeting. With that, we'll move through. We have no items of unfinished business, and that would take us to reports and item 7.1. We did have some public member appointments left over from when we made a whole bunch of them earlier on before the close of the year. I would maybe look to our city clerk for a brief introduction on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. With regard to the public member appointments presented for Council's discussion and debate this afternoon, these were candidates that were discussed at the previous City Council meeting and were presented as approved candidates by Council. Administration did reach out to these individuals and they did accept the appointments as listed for your review.
Okay. Thank you very much. So as Council previously discussed, this is one where administration proactively reached out to candidates for some positions that were left unfilled when we did the larger bunch. So I would look for a motion or motions following the recommendations in our package. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. It would be my pleasure to make the recommendations as presented. Starting with, I would move that Council appoint Lynn Coulter, Bernd Mans, and Greg Sherbeck to the Complaint Adjudication Committee for a term from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Maybe just for the record, the Complaint Adjudication Committee is a new committee of Council. as a result of Council's new Code of Conduct bylaw. This committee and these people are those who would be called to action should there be a complaint made against a council member in alignment with our Code of Conduct bylaw. They would be the ones who would investigate that matter and adjudicate in accordance with the bylaw. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Again, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. We have a couple of other pieces there. Councillor Thiessen, do you want to continue?
Might as well. I would love to, actually. I would move that Council appoint Helen Rice and Greg Sherback to the Council Remuneration Review Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2020. Just sort of to follow up with what the Mayor had said before, just to describe this to the people watching at home. The Remuneration Review Committee would look over the job tasks of Council and see if they are appropriately compensated. Whether that's an increase or decrease is up to them, and Council still has the opportunity to take in their suggestions or to completely disregard them altogether. But definitely two great long-standing citizens, Helen Rice, former city councillor and living legend in Grande Prairie, and Greg Sherback, our former city manager. They know the ins and outs of the city and the kind of work that council has to put in. So I hope council will approve.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Again, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. Motion carries. And one more, Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I would move that Council appoint Linda Murphy to the Assessment Review Board for a term from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022. I think the Assessment Review Committee is pretty self-explanatory, but it's to review any assessment disputes inside the city of Grande Prairie.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on that motion? See anybody jumping out of their chair or ringing in, so I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries as well. That takes us to item 7.2 with respect to a councillor extended leave of absence for Councillor Blackburn. My understanding from our city clerk is that as Councillor Blackburn has announced that he will soon be returning, he has let his family, I think council members and friends on Facebook know that his cancer is in remission. He will be returning back to Grande Prairie, back to regular work duties. He had hoped to be here for this first meeting back, but will be back for our next meeting. And so my understanding from the city clerk is that this motion isn't required at this time, and we will all be able to welcome Councillor Blackburn back at our next council meeting, I would imagine. So we'll give him a round of applause or standing ovation then, but my understanding is that we don't need to act on this motion. This was just sort of the automatic follow-up from council's previous motion, which had given him leave until the end of the year. Okay. Any discussion, debate? I'm sure we'll have lots of comments for Clyde when he actually does resume his seat in council chambers. With that, there's no motions arising on that item. Wow, we have no committee business, no items of correspondence. There was no delegation at our open session, no notices of motion, and so I will declare our council meeting in recess. We will return at 6 p.m. For a public hearing on Bylaw C 108710, an amendment to the Northeast Area Structure Plan, Bylaw C 1409 Copperwood Outline Plan, and Bylaw C 1410 Kingsgate Outline Plan, and Bylaw C 1260 112, a land use bylaw amendment. So we will return at 6 p.m. to deal with all those. And until that time, we are in recess.